Hi, everybody. It's Chuck Gilmore with Power to Sing Live, number 163. Is that right? 163. Hi, welcome. This is it's where I'm calling from, where I'm broadcasting from. It's New Year's Eve, and I know some of you, many of you, will be watching this later on. I hope you're having a happy New Year. And to those who are yet to have a Happy New Year to you tonight, tomorrow. And hope you have some fun plans and can enjoy your evening and welcoming in the new year, 2020, the end of a decade. Wow, how about that? Today we're going to talk about the definition of mixed voice definition, and I'm going to demonstrate that. I'm going to do some demonstrations of what mix sounds like. So we're going to talk about a number of things. First of all, what is mix? What it's comprised of. Number two, we're going to talk about where is mix in the voice, and I'll use a keyboard to help me do that. And then I'll also then give examples of what mix is like, what it sounds like, and what it's not. So we'll jump right into that in just a second. Let me just say hello to anyone who may be joining us here. I'll pop up my it's a massively large. Okay, there we go. So it's hey, Brandon, good to see you. Yeah, I'm planning on that tomorrow. It'll be fun. A nice way to start the new year, right? And hi, Ron. Nice to have you here. Woo, I'm in the first. I'm the first here. Oh, well, I'm glad you're here, Ron. So, let's talk a little bit about what is mix. What is mixed voice? Mixed voice was so confusing to me when I first started into this. And I remember attending a large, multi-day workshop on this whole technique. And so I would listen to singers, and I would say to my wife, are they singing in chest voice? Are they pulling up chest? Are they singing in mixed? I just couldn't discern it. And I couldn't really tell in my own voice if I was in mix or not. And so it's rather hard to get a grasp of at first. It was for me. Now, I am a little bit slow in some matters. And I hope that just the information that I provide, not only you online here in the broadcast and in my videos, but also in my studio and on Skype in my lessons, I'm hoping that people begin to feel and understand what that mixed voice is to them and their voice. And in so doing, I'm hoping that I can help you succeed faster and get stronger, better, quicker than I did. Say, hey, Marty, nice to have you here today. Marty, we got a winter warning out for my city, and I'm in Centerville, just north of Salt Lake. We're expected to have anywhere from 6 to 10 inches of snow, which I know that's your average snowfall there, but in a small snowfall for you guys, but it's coming tomorrow. They're saying it's going to start about 4 a.m. in the morning, and so we're going to start the new year off with a bang. Gabrielle, hi. Nice to have you here today. I've been wondering, she asked about this since choir really only taught me about head voice, and I was usually a soprano 1. Yeah, so this will be helpful, Gabrielle. I think you'll enjoy this. Arash, hi. And you're welcome. I'm happy to be doing this. Happy New Year to you. Okay, so let's talk a bit about what the definition of. Well, there's a lot of things we can say about this, but in order to define mix, we have to define some elements of mix. So if you're going to mix something together, let's say you're going to make a cake. You've got to have flour and water at least, right? Now, you can't just have flour and say this is a mix. That's just flour. If you have only water, it's just water. But if you have the two of them, now you can mix them together. that idea holds true with this idea of singing with a mix. And so what is it a mix of? What is it? It's a blend of at least two things. And in mix, it's a blend of the chest voice and a blend of the head voice. So chest voice is our lower notes. Ah, and head voice is our high notes. Now, if you're just learning how to bridge and get into your head voice, you may not be able to relate to what head voice is. Now, Gabrielle is here with us today, and Gabrielle can relate to head voice because that's where she lives most of the time, in her singing is, in much of it at least, in head voice. And for us guys, when we're first starting out, I had no concept of what head voice was because I couldn't get into my head voice. I don't know if I even heard the term head voice. Isn't that sad? If I did hear the term, I didn't understand it. I may have thought that head voice was just the last note I could sing, which for me was the E above middle C. So if I said, ah, and that was it. That was my head voice if I had one, which I didn't. But if I thought I did, that's what I would have thought. That's the highest I can sing, so that's up here in my head. Well, I didn't understand it. And so let's talk about head voice. For the men, it begins higher than the E above middle C. For the tenors and baritones, that head voice begins around the G above middle C. So here's middle C. And so this is where the head voice begins for the men. So we have this vibration that occurs in our bodies when we sing. So if you can put your hand on your chest, for the guys, they say, you can feel the vibration in your chest. So we call that voice, we call it chest voice because we can feel that vibration occurring in the chest, the resonance vibration, the sympathetic vibration and resonance in the throat and chest. I don't know if there's actually resonance down there or it's just vibration, but because we can feel that, we call it chest voice. The same is true with head voice. And that is the vibrations, as the pitch goes higher, go up into our head. And we really literally don't feel anything in the chest. If you said, ah, and you went, wee, wee. When I do that, wee, I can't feel anything vibrating up there. Wee, but there are vibrations. I'm making noise. I'm making a sound, and so the vibration is in the head. So it's quite an interesting phenomena to have vibration moving around in our bodies. But because the vibration is in our heads, literally in the cavities above the roof of the mouth, in the sinus cavity, any place where there's tissue or space or air, any of those things that can actually vibrate, and some of that sympathetic vibration, we realize that when we call that our head voice. It's higher than I could ever sing. So there's a lot of guys probably, and the only way I could get in that area of my voice was to go into falsetto. I could do that. But I couldn't get strong in that. I couldn't sing. Die! There was a song I wanted to sing in high school, and the last note is an F, and I couldn't do that. And he sang it on the word die. I was go get money from my daughter or die. And, you can't be on stage singing this very manly song, then ended in, oh, die. It just doesn't work. So I thought that was, had reached the top of my voice, and the only way I could go any higher was to crack into that falsetto, which just, didn't work for musical theater. does in some cases for pop and so forth. But this is foreign to many men. And Gabrielle, I don't know how you do in chest voice, but for a lot of women, some women have trouble getting down into their chest voice. And for us, that's where that's when we're home base. And so this blend, this mix of chest and head is what of this resonance, chest resonance and head resonance is what we refer to when we're talking about mixing. There was a blend of the chest and the head voice. Let me just take a couple comments. Ivan says, I've sung the exercises from time to time, and yesterday after exercise, after some time just sort of trying, I sang an A, and then an A, B, and then a C, which I thought is impossible. Way to go, Ivan. Yes, I'm singing things that I never dreamed. I never dreamt them. I couldn't, it wasn't even a daydream I had. I just knew I couldn't, it didn't enter into my mind that there was a possibility. Hey, Happy New Year. Partha Pratham, nice to have you here with us today. So Ivan says, it seems that the exercises work in a prolonged effect, and it is also psychological. We are very psychological people, us humans, and so a lot of the time what comes out of our mouths is affected by what we think, or what doesn't come out of our mouths is affected by our psychology, our viewpoint, our opinions, our beliefs that we hold. And I had no knowledge that there was anything for me above the E, above middle C. That was not in my realm of belief or comprehension. It wasn't even psychological, really. When I found out there was, then the psychology entered in, and I thought, well, yeah, maybe, but you have to be born with certain gifts. That was my first thought. Well, those people were born with that gift, and I wasn't. So that's all part of the psychology here. And let me tell you, you're not. There's many of us that aren't born with this gift to get into our head voice, but we can do it. We just have to learn some strategies. So this is why I'm talking today about this mix, this blend of chest and head coming together. Okay. Now, just get my comment section here in front of me so I know who's talking to me. Gabrielle said that I've been trying to discover my chest voice. I think I've discovered it over time, but it's a weird transition, especially going for head voice to chest voice since it's still new. This is not uncommon, Gabrielle. It's not uncommon for the female singer and also younger singers, like young or the children and guys, boys and girls. And then voices change, and all of a sudden that's all they have. And that's part of it's part of the guy's problem. Once our voice changes, we were sopranos, and when we wake up one morning, hey, we're talking like this, and we can't get in. We don't have a head voice anymore, and now we're just cracking down into this lower voice. Oh my gosh! And if you want to sing when you're a teenager, as a young man, it's terrifying, and it's hard. At least it was for me. Okay. So when you say head, are you referring to that softer range below the broken tone falsetto? Good question. What's the difference then between head voice and falsetto? It's confusing because head voice and falsetto are in the same place. They resonate, for the most part, in our heads. It's not so much what it sounds like, and it's not so much really where it resonates. It's a condition of the vocal cord structure. When we are in head voice, we have a connected tone to the bottom. When I'm in falsetto, that connection breaks. That tone breaks. So you can hear there's a difference. One of the tone, the tone of the head voice has got a little more overtone, and there's some connection. You can feel some of the bottom still in the voice. But what's happened is there's one of the muscle in the vocal cord um, disengages essentially from the production of the tone, and um, and so that creates this feeling of a crack or a break or a definite change in the tone quality. Now the thing is, falsetto can occur lower than what I'm showing. So let me just show you. I can bring falsetto down. So I'll go into my head voice. Ah, ah, that's the F. It's usually for me it's around the A, but if I really work on it, I can pull that falsetto down further. But it's just a disconnection. The chord structure. If these are the vocal cords in slow motion, this is your connected voice. Or when I say a disconnection, it's more of a tonal disconnection. The vocal cords don't disconnect necessarily, but they do function differently. There's a different muscle. There's a muscle that's missing when you're in falsetto. So if this is slow motion vocal tone, ah, now instead of being the full body of the vocal folds, now it's just up here, and it's just the very outer layer of the voice of the chord structure. Now the rest of the muscle of the vocal folds and the tendon is disengaged. It's no longer participating. The only thing that's coming together is the edges of the chord structure, and that's the mucosal layer, mucosal edges of the vocal folds that are now participating, but the muscle is stopped. So whereas before I'm in ma 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 ma, and so you can see that there's a different um, there's a different nomenclature of muscle participating in the tone production. It's not just what it sounds like, and it's not just where it vibrates. It is a physical difference. There's a physical difference between the chord structure of head voice and which involves the muscle and tendon as well as the edge of the chord structure. Ma 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 ma. So that when that disengages this bottom area here, the muscle and tendon, when it stops participating in the we sometimes refer to that as disconnected, but it's just that it just disengaged, I guess you could say. But that's what the difference is between the falsetto and head voice. Now a mix is not a blend of chest and falsetto, because there's really nothing to in fact, by definition, if you're in falsetto, there's no chest. Okay? If you're in falsetto, and you can hear that when I come down. There's just no chest voice there. There's no muscle. There's no engagement of the thyroid arytenoid, which is shortens the chord structure and gets that resonance of chest going. It's not engaged. I'm in falsetto, and so that muscle is not participating, which is the primary muscle of the vocal fold. So by definition, I can't mix if I've gone into falsetto, because there's only one element of my voice, and that's the falsetto, with a lot of heady kind of resonance. But now head voice, on the other hand, maintains this chord structure connection from the bottom to the top. So, in other words, the thyroid arytenoid muscle is still engaged in the production of the tone. So now, with that tonal connection, with the engagement of all the vocal muscles there that produce tone, I'm in a situation where I can mix. Now, if I go up, let's start it with chest though. So we're blending. If we're going to mix, we're going to have a blend of chest voice and head voice, okay? So if I said, I've still got this tonal connection. There's still this element of mix. But if I said, my chest voice is gone. It's only falsetto, so I'm not mixing. I can't mix. There's nothing to mix. That makes sense? So mix is a blend of the chest resonance, chest voice, the chest vibration, and the head resonance, the head vibration. If it's falsetto, I have no access to the chest voice anymore. Now I'm getting down to where it's primarily just chest. And so let's talk about now in terms of where, let's simplify this now and just say, let's talk about where is the mix on the keyboard. Where's the mix in your voice? And so for men, you know what I'm going to do? Don't get sick here. I'm going to move this camera around here, and I'm going to point it at my keyboard here, okay? So, you know what? I'm going to take this thing off. So that's not in the way anymore, and you guys know who I am. Here's middle C. So for the tenors and basses, it's E, and I can't get too much. Let's see what we can do here. C, middle C, E, so we call that E4, F, and G. That's the, and then, E, F, F sharp, and G. So once you're at G, this is for the tenors and basses, then you're getting into head voice here. And so the same thing exists for the ladies, except it's here. This is the A above middle C. A, B flat, B, C. By the time you get to the C sharp 5, you're pretty much all the way through. So this is the sopranos, the mezzos, and many singers who say they're altos. If you're really a contralto, I mean a true alto, then you bridge here, where the men do, where the tenors and basses. Now, my voice is more along the lines of so I'm a bass, and so the true bass begins to bridge here on the A. This is middle C, on the A below middle C, which is an octave below where the ladies, where the sopranos and mezzos. So for the true basso, it's the A, B flat, B, middle C, C sharp. Then you're all the way through it. So that's where, let's talk about those notes in terms of, I hope that didn't get you seasick. Let's talk about now those areas of the voice, which we call the bridge. This is where you start to get this mix going, or where you want it to be mixing chest and head together, okay? You want to be able to start mixing in that E, F, F sharp for the guys. For the ladies, A, B flat, B, C. For the sopranos and mezzos. Contraltos, you'd be with the tenors and bass, or with the tenors and baritones. The basses, you're an octave lower from the sopranos, the A, B flat, B, and C. Now, that's where we want to, for today at least, we want to focus in on mixing in those areas. I don't want to leave you behind on this, so let me take a couple comments here, and then I'm going to press on to demonstrating what mix sounds like. Okay, so Arish says, how many mixed registers can we generate? So I think that in one voice, it's about every tritone is another bridge, which is where you want to mix, where the mix is more focused in a way, because you're transitioning from one bridge to another, and so some overtones are dropping off, and some other higher overtones are kicking in. So in those bridges there, you're mixing the lower bridge with the upper bridge, okay? The lower area where you're coming from with the upper area that you're going to. And so that's the mix that continues to go on. And there's one about every tritone. So another tritone, another tritone. Imagine, if you will, a figure eight. So here's a bridge. Then you get into the bridge. Now it's a little bit easier. Now you approach this next bridge. You can feel some narrowing and so forth. And then the next tritone, there's another bridge, and so forth. And that's what Pavarotti described as the process of singing, as a figure eight. Okay, a couple comments here. PB says, I stopped singing for 7 months, and now when I try to sing anything, I can't even sing an easy line. I don't sound the same like before. Yeah, it's going to maybe take a while to get back to it. Valentina, hi, nice to have you here. Is there an exercise that helps develop musical ear? I hear the notes, but I can't seem to hit them, especially in the middle range. Valentina, I would say I don't know of any exercise that necessarily teaches you how to find the pitch. However, there are exercises out there, but they're really in a kind of a separate category from a singing exercise. They're in an ear training exercises. And so I recommend to any singer who is struggling with pitch to go online and do a search on ear training. And I know there are many apps now available for smartphones that are also ear training apps. And there's some fun ones out there that I think work pretty well. One of them you might want to look into, and I've never talked to these guys, about EROL, EROL. They have an app for a smartphone, and a couple of my students have used that app, and it's kind of cool because it'll give you a melody, you sing the melody, and then it shows you where your voice is compared to the actual melody, so you can see whether you're on or whether you're too high or whether you're too low. That's what I recommend. And once you start being able to match the pitch, then you can move on to singing exercises. He also says, let me see, I have a tough time going from higher notes to lower notes. Yeah. Hey, Brandon says, is it okay to mix lower than the E? Say like the C. So Brandon, it's always okay to mix lower, and never okay to pull chest higher. So it's totally okay to mix a little, to go a little early into your bridge is fine. You don't want to go late into it. In other words, keep pulling the chest voice higher and higher. You want to avoid that. Okay, so now let me give you a couple examples of mix. And if you're doing it for the first time, I'm going to take you right into. I think it's probably easier to do this on the 5-tone scale at first. And frankly, if you're brand new, it's even harder. So I'm gonna assume that you've never done it before, and I'm gonna have you do a couple things that enable you to move through the bridge and kind of mix on a naturally. And the first way is to do this bubble lip. If I do this one, it's going to go right through the E, F, F sharp. Now, you'll notice as you do that, that's for the guys. For the ladies, you'd be up here. You go through that 5-tone ah with that bubble. Now notice that I'm not breaking or cracking in there, so I'm not going into falsetto. So we've got that connection going the whole time, that tonal connection. Now if I crack or break, then I've lost the chest. I've lost the chest voice. I don't have anything to mix. So it's possible to do that even with a bubble lip. If you can't get through that, then another way of doing it is stand up, do it, and then bend over as you go up. And bend about halfway down to the ground looking at the floor, just to keep the tone connected. Now, there's another way, and then I'm going to go to a more normal thing. You can do it this way and say, nay, 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 nay. Nay, nay, nay. Now, the nay, nay, nay is a little bit exaggerated. It's slightly off of the level of speech level, okay? Because the larynx is slightly elevated. But if I said, nay, 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 if you've never done this before, and this is the first time you've tried it, it's hard to do it with a normal, regular, everyday sound because it wants to it wants to crack. Nay. If I said nay, 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 it's just going to break. Or if I was saying no, 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 I'm just going to pull the chest voice, which I'll talk about that in a second. So I recommend if you're just getting started with this, do this little funny puppet sound, a little puppet voice. Nay, 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 nay. And that's going to get you through your bridge. Nay, 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 nay. Ladies, you'd be here. Nay, 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 nay. Now, here's a word of caution. You want to do it firmly enough that the tone stays connected. You don't want to have a disconnection. Nay, nay, nay. If it breaks, then you've lost your connection to the bottom. The tone is disassociated now from the top, and there's nothing to mix. But if you'll stay with that funny puppet sound, nay, 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 right away you start to realize, wow, wait a minute. I'm getting higher than I've ever done before, but it's not pulling up a lot of chest voice. I'm not pulling up a lot of weight, or I'm not straining that much. And yet it's not going in the falsetto. You're not saying nay, 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 You're not doing that. So what is it? It's a form of mix. Is it a finished sound? No. It's not finished, but it's the beginning. And you have to start someplace if you've not done this before. Couple comments here. Excuse me. David says, I'm not able to get in and out of head without breaking, but only very quietly. 16. David, the fact that you're 16 and you're doing that well, congratulations. Am I doing something wrong, or will this get better over time? Yes and no. If you do it right, it will get better over time. If the larynx still continues to go higher and higher, and we're pulling too much weight from the bottom and so forth, it's going to crack on you. So the exercises that I recommend that you do are for the pulled chest, the high larynx voice exercises. So let me just let me just show you what I'm talking about here. If you go to my website, which is right here, and go to vocal types, you click this, and you select this this section right here, pull chest, high larynx. Then you can get to watch videos about your vocal type, and then download, and then you practice these. I teach you exercises for pulled chest, high larynx, which is going to help you in your situation right now, because for the young men, it's a very, very difficult thing to sing through the bridge of the voice, because you're still going through the change. Even though your voice has maybe been changed for 2 or 3 years, it's still changing. Every morning it'll be different. and so the exercises for pulled chest, high larynx would be ideal for you. And I'd recommend that you do that. Now, you can also go to, in the description below this video, when this is over, in the description area is a get your vocal type. It's a PDF, and it's got links to all that stuff I just showed you, and some other things too, for all the vocal types. For pulled chest, it'll take you to a test actually on the home page. You can take a test to verify, but I'm pretty sure at age 16, you're pulled chest, high larynx. It could be light chest, no chest though. So I'd probably take the test, get your vocal type, and then go back and watch the videos about your vocal type. That's all in that PDF. And it's free. Download it and have links to all that stuff. All right. So let's get to some more demonstration here on what mix sounds like. So let's just say that I've started to connect now my chest voice to my head voice with that funny puppet sound. Nay, 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 nay. And then over a period of time, I've been able to get more towards a normal sound. Nay, 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 nay. And maybe just regular no, 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 no. No, 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 no. Ladies, for you, it'll be up here. Nay, 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 no, 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 and so forth, up to the C sharp. No, 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 no. And you're able to do that without it cracking or breaking, or without pulling up a lot of weight. Now that takes some time, but that's what we're getting to here. So even though this is kind of a funny sound, nay, 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 it's a form of a mix. It's an unfinished sound, as I mentioned, but it will lead into a normal sound. And there are other exercises you can do to do this. You could do it on gee, 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 gee. Go, 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 go. I don't know if you could get to that fast. It takes a little while to get rid of the extra grabbing muscles that want to grip and grab. But let's go forward now to let's assume that you've worked these exercises, and the exercises for you to do this are in that PDF that I talked about. get your vocal type. So get that PDF, get your vocal type, and then download the exercises for your vocal type. It's going to take you right into the bridging and mixing process. Okay? Now let's say you've been working it for a while, and now you're able to say, no, 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 without a crack or a break. If I don't do it right and I crack, it would sound like, no, 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 no. I'd go into falsetto. Or if I were pulling chest voice, it would sound like, no, 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 no. In those cases where it cracks into falsetto, I'm not mixing. In the case where I'm just pulling up chest voice, I'm only pulling up chest. I'm not mixing. I need to have the vibration from chest and head working together. So that's what this that's what this exercise does. It gets it to the point where you can get that vibration going, and then you finish. Then it starts, over a period of some exercises, some work, then you get more normal and more a finished sound. But if I said nay 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 nay, no 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 no, that's the F sharp. That's the top of the bridge for the men. For the ladies, no 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 no. Same thing for you guys on the C sharps. So, well, it wouldn't be that high. That's the top of your bridge. So for the guys at the top of the bridge, it'd be more along the area of the G. No, 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 no. So once you're there, now let me illustrate what, give you a couple exercises on this bridging. Let's say I was able to do that no, 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 as I just showed you. No, 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 no. But I did another exercise that went from a no to a na, let's say. Or a na. No, 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 no. Now that na was in a mix. But if I had said no, 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 now I'm just falling out of my mix and going into chest. No, 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 no. Or that's an illustration of no from mix to pulled up chest. That's what we don't want. No, 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 no. And that's an example of the mixed voice. No, 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 no. If I'd said, no, 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 can you hear that? It goes a little strident. It definitely feels abusive to my vocal cords, and it kind of like vibrates my whole head when I do that. I know by experience that that's pulled chest. So I have to allow that na to follow in the same place. No, 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 no. It has to assume the same feel and location and feeling in every way as the no. Because no is mixed. No, 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 no. That wasn't. That's pulled up chest. So it takes a while to be able to get to this in your voice, but that's what your potential is. I couldn't do this when I was 43. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know it was possible to do it. But now I realize that you can, in order to go higher, you really shouldn't, and you in many cases can't pull up the bottom higher and higher and higher without it cracking or straining or hurting your voice. And believe me, people damage their voices all the time pulling chest voice up. Many people, many professional singers have had surgery on their voices because of banging that chest voice all the time. So it's a dead end. So what you want to learn how to do is to mix this. Now look what happens when you get this mix going. No 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 no. That's the A. It's another bridge, but that was all. Those last 3 or 4 notes were in head voice, and I didn't have to change anything. Once I got in my mix, I just kept doing the same thing, one note higher after the other. That's the power and beauty of mix, is that you find that coordination, and you just keep doing that, and you're able to get into your head voice. If I were to sustain it, no, 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 no. Same thing over and over again. I don't have to make any adjustments. Once I'm doing the mixing appropriately and correctly in my bridge, I just keep doing that all the way up to the next bridge and so forth. But if I start out with too much chest, in other words, if I'm not mixing, if I'm just saying no 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 no, it's, for me, I would crack. I just can't go that high and pull chest. Now there are a lot of good singers out there who can pull chest up pretty high, and they sound pretty good at it, really. But for, like, let's just say a good tenor, a high tenor, on the B or B flat, he's going to crack. He just can't keep carrying that weight with him. And he's also going to get hoarse on a long night of singing if he's just doing that in chest. But if he gets his bridge, if he gets that first bridge going and he gets that mix, then he's not even going to feel the next bridge will already be there, just like I just showed you. You get it right in the first one, then the second one and the third one falls into place. So let me take a couple questions here. Pretty much getting this explained. But let me see if there's some other things that I can help you with. Let me get back to, okay, PB says I can sing from B2 to C6. Wow, that's amazing. But as I go higher, I sound bad. How can I sound good on high notes? How high do you need to sing? PB, what are you singing? I don't know of any men's songs that actually go much higher than the C5. I guess Bruno Mars maybe a couple notes higher. But what songs are you singing? Ink says, hey Chuck, do you know what's the best way to get rid of a cold? Because I have to sing tomorrow, but I have a very bad cold, but not a sore throat. Ink, I don't know of any. I wish I did. I wish I knew of a way, if I was sick today, I could be well tomorrow. That would be great. You can maximize what you can. So I would, keep plenty of fluids flushing your system out. I use an neti pot personally, so I'll fill up a little teapot kind of like thing and drain water, a mixture of salt and baking soda and water, lukewarm water, and clean out both nostrils. I'll do that in the morning and in the evening. And you can take some vitamins, some vitamin C, take a hot shower, get really hot water, as hot as you can, and have it on your face. You can put a hot water steam in a bowl and put a towel over your head and inhale the steam. Be careful, don't burn yourself. Those are some things you can do, but it's not going to heal you. You won't be rid of the cold by tomorrow, but it might get your voice through your gig. And if you're singing solos, you know, you might not want to take the high note. You might want to take a lower note. And it's just the way it is. You know, it's only so much you can do. Ink's a sore throat. Not a sore throat. Yeah, that's good. You don't want to sing if you got a sore throat. I got to tell you. Hey George, you can barely hear me. Anybody else having problems? Donald Trump says he can hear perfectly fine. I turned it up, George, before we got started, so that surprises me. Let me just double check on it, though, in case something reset. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I have to study this system a little bit. I set my, I'm sorry, George. Thanks for letting me know. I'm bumping the device back up again. Don't know why it reset. Apologize to you guys if you haven't been able to hear. All right. Okay. Hopefully, George, that was on your end. Anyway, it's nice to have Donald Trump here today. I didn't know you were a singer. Okay, so any other questions here? I can hear. Okay, so looks like the sound was okay. All right, thank you, you guys. Everything sounded fine the whole time. All right. Now, so an illustration then of how do you build your mix is this exercise that we just did. I asked this question of Mr. Riggs one time, and he answered me this way. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Now notice it's the same exercise I did before, only on new no, and the no is staying in the same place, the same feel. It's flowing right into the same condition as the new. No, 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 no. Now that's a mix on the no as well. No, 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 is a mix. If I said no, 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 that's pulled up chest. No, 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 pulled up chest. The no has to fit right where that smaller one was. No, 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 no. So how do you get more powerful with your mix? You do the same thing, only this time trying crescendo on the second vowel and on the third vowel without losing its place, so to speak, without it falling out, the vibration just falling down into your mouth and into your chest. No, 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 no. Now notice I stayed in that same smaller place. No, 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 no. I didn't do that. I didn't let that fall out into a wider kind of sound. No, 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 no. That sound kind of goes splat. It goes wide. It goes horizontal. No, 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 no. Over time, you'll develop the ability to lean more and more firmly on that second vowel in that smaller place, that smaller feeling. No, 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 no. Or no, 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 no. And it can be pretty strong. It can be very strong. And I'm not in fantastic voice today. I haven't warmed up. But, and then you do that all over, or as soon as you, you know, Brandon asked me whether or not you can bridge early. So let me show you what that sounds like, Brandon. I'm going to bring that mix down. No, 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 no. Sorry, I've got a little bit of phlegm on my chord today. No 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 no. No, 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 no. Lost it. No, 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 no. It gets a little harder to keep pulling the mix down, but it's possible, and it can be very strong. Because I'm learning to bridge lower because my range of my voice. I'm working down here now, and this is like the B below middle C. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. That's the middle C. No, 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 no. But that's not no, 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 no. It's not just letting it go in full chest. So this is still a work in progress for me, but I'm loving that feeling. But that's because I'm down here in this range. And for the baritones and the tenors, you want to bridge higher. Okay, so we're getting down to the close here. Let me just see if I can't answer a couple other questions. Sound was okay. All right, thanks. It was the distance from the mic when you were doing exercises. Gotcha. So I was a little far away. Marty says, I've learned to get up to the A4 in a good solid mix, and that's perfect. I can perform many songs not needed to exceed that level. Marty, congratulations. That's so gratifying. Marty, out of curiosity, how long have you been working on it? I'm quite sure I'm trying to remember back here, but it's probably been at least 2 years or maybe 3 years. I'm curious. Bradley Monroe says, any way to sing a perfect mixed voice when singing Nessun Dorma? Sure, absolutely. Or other opera tenor arias? Sure. So by then, Bradley, you're in head voice. But if you haven't bridged correctly, if you're continuing to pull chest voice up, it's going to be very, very difficult to sing Nessun Dorma without going flat, even if you're a tenor, because you're going to have too much chest in there. So that E, F, F sharp, G is where you want to spend time getting that mix going there, so that when you get up to the C, is it C? B flat? I can't remember. I know it's one of those three. Maybe B flat, maybe B. Let me see. I'm drawing a blank on, Siri wants to help me now. I'm drawing a blank on the last phrase on Nessun Dorma, but let's just say it's, in fact, I think it's the only way that it's done well. The tenors have to be in your head voice, and you have to be in head. You can't be hanging on to the chest voice there. And the way to kind of train that, Bradley, is to be natural. Thanks. To train that is to get into your mix on the E, F, F sharp, and G, and be very comfortable and very solid in that mix there, and then you're going to be able to carry that on up. So the mix kind of opens everything up for you. It's going to improve the lower, it's going to improve the higher, it's going to improve chest, it's going to improve head. Okay, we've been going an hour today. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for some great questions, some great comments. And let's see here. Any other, looks like we're pretty much on top of it here. So, hey, Happy New Year to you. We're beginning the 2020 new year, a new decade. If you're watching this in 2021, it was a very good year. So thank you. I'm Chuck Gilmore with Power to Sing Live. Thank you, David. Says, thanks for teaching this. I've been taking lessons for the last several years though through my voice change. Your videos have really helped me control my break. Oh, David, I wish I'd had that same experience when I was 16. It would have been a quite different experience for me. And congratulations for getting yourself in there and finding out about it. And it's gonna bless your voice, that's for sure. All right, Happy New Year, everybody. Thanks, George. Gabrielle, Happy New Year. And I'm Chuck Gilmore with Power to Sing Live. You can sing higher with beauty, confidence, and power. I'll see you inside the next video. Happy New Year.